favorite team to cover the spread this weekend is who, Steve?
Yeah, look, this is liable to change. Okay, so
Yep.
this might be a best bet, but just be weary. Okay, as it stands at this moment at 11 a.m. Eastern time, give me the Dolphins against the Jets. I mean, come on. I mean, are we really at this point now where the Dolphins shouldn't be favored by double-digit points against the Jets? The Jets have absolutely nothing to go with them, and all the Dolphins are on the COVID list in this one. So if that means we're going to see more of Tua passing the ball against whatever you want to call this secondary, I'm all for it. Give me that all day here. The Dolphins in this scenario should be able to cover with ease at this point. The Jets have some offensive line issues with some injuries there as too. Fant might not play in this game. He's basically taken over the spot for Becton, who went down earlier this season. That means the Dolphins should be able to get more pressure on Zach Wilson, which is never a good scenario for him. Give me Dolphins 9.5.
Dude, they're riding a 5-game win streak right now. 4-0 ATS in the last 4 home games too, Steven. Pearce, what about you, dude?
We'll go with the Packers minus 5.5. And like Steve mentioned, all of this is subject to change. If people don't know or aren't aware, every player in the NFL, NBA, and NHL seems to be going on COVID lists. So you got to stay up to date and make sure that you're following it, because an obvious play may not be obvious on Saturday or on Sunday. So please keep abreast of that knowledge. But I like the Packers, 11-2 against the spread this year. The only times they didn't cover was that first game of the season where they just completely laid an egg, and then they ran into the buzzsaw that was Kirk Cousins. Other than that, this team has been rolling every phase of the game. They're on top. And then you look at the Ravens, which actually their injuries don't even look as bad anymore when you look across the NFL. But still, the defense, the offensive line, Lamar Jackson's hurt. I just got to take the chalky play and go with the Packers to cover.
All right, Alan, hook me up, dude.
Bills laying 11 at home against the Panthers. The Bills are coming off that short week, but they looked like a top-tier team in the second half against the Bucs. I expect them to crush the Panthers at home. Make sure Josh Allen is playing. I'll, go with that caveat that everyone else is talking about. I think he was confirmed that he's playing and recently as we're recording this. But before you click the button, just confirm that. Love the Bills at home.
All right, let's go game to go over. What's your favorite one, Pearce?
I'm going to go with Jacksonville and Houston over 39.5. This line is just a little too low for me. Both these defenses are bad. It makes more sense to see these lines near 50. I know the offenses aren't great, but they've played better recently. And there's going to be, it's not even really a narrative with James Robinson. He's a good running back. He's averaging more yards per carry. The theory is with Urban Meyer going out, Robinson's going to get pretty much unleashed here. And you look at what Houston did last week. I like Rashad Penny to go for 137 yards. Jonathan Taylor ran all over them. Everybody's running all over them. The Jets trio of running backs, if you can even call them that, hit almost 140 yards against Houston. So I think Jacksonville's definitely going to be able to move the ball. And Davis Mills played decent last week. I think he can probably 331 yards, about 64% completion rate, touchdown, didn't throw any interceptions, a quarterback rating of above 90, gets a decent matchup here against the Jacksonville team that's missing some of their key players on the defensive side. The offenses are better than the defenses in this game, so I don't understand why the number's this low. Go with the over.
Yeah, Carlos Hyde, by the way, was ruled out earlier today for Sunday, so it is it's going to be a James Robinson feast for sure. Steve, what about you, dude?
Yeah, give me Falcons and 49ers at over 46 points. I mean, look, the Niners offense has been rolling. They've scored at least 30 points in 3 of their last 5 games, and now they get a really soft Falcons secondary run defense. Like, you look at the run defense for the Falcons, they've given up exactly 49 rushing yards in 2 straight games. That was against the Buccaneers, who never run the ball to begin with, only 15 times in that game. And the Panthers, who have like an RB3 as their RB1 right now, only ran the ball 14 times in that game as well. Prior to that, 100 yards plus in 6 straight games for opposing running backs against the Falcons. I know the 49ers have some issues with their running backs, but the connection that Garoppolo and Kittle has been having alone, just getting them downfield and putting them in position to score in the red zone. The Falcons really struggle against defending against opposing teams in the red zone. Give me over 46 in this one. They should be going back and forth on the field in this game.
Alan, which game's going over on Sunday or Saturday?
A couple of weeks ago, I would have ordered my own psych evaluation if I said over 39.5 with Houston and Jacksonville, but I'm going to second that one. The dead cat bounce of Urban Meyer is real. Sharp bettors pushed that line from 3.5 to 5. We already said that DK Sportsbook is giving away money, keeping that line at 3.5. But both rookie quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence and Davis Mills, have that chip on their shoulder narrative going for them. Mills is fighting for a starting quarterback life as Houston is presumably going to make a Watson deal this summer, which brings back a quarterback. I think there's sneaky shootout upside here, and I guess not so sneaky since the people that are on this now. But it's a great spot for Lawrence to push back on that bust grumblings that have started to permeate in the darkest parts of the web.
Okay, Alan, let's go complete opposite of that. Give me a game that you like to go under.
Green Bay and Baltimore, 43.5. The line assumes no Lamar Jackson, and Green Bay's defense has had a week to dissect Tyler Huntley. Huntley looked good in middle relief of Lamar. It's similar to when like a third down running back in the NFL gets a high yards per carry, but they're running a 3rd and 15 draw play. Huntley's a decent backup that fits the offense, and I think we could see a plethora of Justin Tucker field goals depressing that total. Rodgers in the offense will undoubtedly score, but this could be a bludgeoning of Baltimore's defense with Dillon and Jones.
Yeah, they were struggling to score with a healthy Lamar, and scoring with a banged-up Lamar is just that much more difficult. Steve, what about you, dude?
I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at over 45 with the Seahawks and Rams. And I go, would I really want to take that over? Give me the under. The Rams have like 30 players on the COVID list right now. Slight exaggeration, but that's what it feels like. The Seahawks only have a couple of guys on the COVID list, but it's 2 important guys, Tyler Lockett and Alex Collins. So where is the offense going to come from in this game? Seattle has been one of the worst teams in the league at hitting the over anyways to begin with. I just don't see this game getting over 45 points. Feels like a bit of a stretch here. I mean, this could end up being one of those 20-17 games, quite frankly, with the amount of players that both sides is missing here. So give me the under in Seattle and Los Angeles.
Pearce, which game you feeling the under?
Washington and Philadelphia. And part of me, I feel like this is all pretty insane for us to make some of these picks right now, not knowing who's going to play, what side's going to have the defense or offense. But early in the week at 44, I like the under on Washington and Philadelphia. It's only moved to 42.5, despite the fact that Washington has lost 18 players to the COVID list, half of which are starters. They were already short 13 players on the injury reserve to begin with. They didn't really have that great of an offense either. They were only scoring about 50% of the time when they were in the red zone. I just don't see how Washington is going to score whatsoever. Philly might be healthy. It all remains to be seen. But Jalen Hurts isn't practicing that much. I mean, it's half and half. It looks like he's not going to play. Minshew will play. And I don't really think Minshew's going to go out there and try to do a superhero effort. They're just going to try to win this game, especially like if I was Philadelphia, I wouldn't want to reveal all my cards. Go out there, just win the game against a bunch of backups. Save all your good stuff for the second time you play them in a couple weeks.
Pearce, what about an underdog to win outright?
I like the Patriots a lot. Maybe this is a trap, but you look at what Indianapolis has done. I know on paper they've got this great run DVOA, but they really haven't faced tough running backs and tough running teams. When they did, they gave up a lot of yards. Jonathan Taylor ran all over them. Eli Mitchell ran all over them. Leonard Fournette ran all over them. And I imagine if Damian Harris is healthy, which I think he is, it depends on what Belichick's doing, but I think Damian Harris is going to be good to go, and I expect him to run all over. And I also like how Mac Jones sets up against this pass defense. The pass defense dares you to basically dink and dunk. They don't allow big passes, and that's what Mac Jones does. He doesn't have a deep intended air yards at all. He goes for about 7.5, so I think that they're going to be able to move the ball and get the upset. And again, I mean, Patriots seem to get disrespected every single week. I think this is a slap in the face to make them the underdog here.
By the way, later in the show, Steve, Julian, Ross Tucker, they're going to dive a little deeper into that game. You guys had on a fantastic guest, one of my best friends, on one of your episodes this week on Unreasonable Odds. So, Steve, you want to tell me a little bit about which underdog you like to win outright this week?
Yeah, give me the Bengals. Like, I don't understand why they're underdogs in this game. I mean, I get that Denver just absolutely trampled the Lions, but like everybody tramples the Lions. So does that really mean that they should be, the favorites in this game? If this was in Cincinnati, would they be favorites here? I'm not sure. I think this would be closer to a pick 'em. But I think the Bengals are in a good spot here to take down the Broncos. They really haven't beaten anybody of note as of late. So I just don't understand why they're underdogs here. The Bengals really need this win here. The Broncos are still, technically in the hunt, but the Bengals are in a much better position to make the playoffs than the Bengals at this point. So I think the Bengals can sneak one out here and take one away from Denver.
Alan, talk to me.
Stephen Pearce had great underdogs there, but I like to bet a little bit of money and I like to win a lot. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints at plus 400 against Tampa. They always play the Bucs tough. New Orleans always plays them tough, and they have a nasty team. Now they get back Armstead, Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan, and Alvin Kamara shows up to, okay, here's 50% of the market share, no problem. The plus 400 is an enticing enough play in Week 15.
Gentlemen, great work. But I have one more question for you. I need a player prop. Steve.
Give me Carson Wentz to throw an interception against the Patriots. They are second in the league in interceptions at 19. Getting Carson Wentz under pressure has been something that opposing teams have found success with. He's been under pressure on 38% of his dropbacks, completing less than half of his pass attempts. In that scenario, you do not want to make a mistake against this Patriots team in that type of realm. They've been able to pick off opposing quarterbacks more than any other team other than the Cowboys. So give me Carson Wentz to throw an interception on Saturday.
Allen, player prop this weekend.
I don't know if this is going to be like sacrilegious, but Jonathan Taylor under 92.5 rushing yards. We know Bill Belichick finds the opposite team's strength, his opponent's strength, and he tries to take it away. And he makes you beat you with your secondary and your tertiary weapons. Taylor will still get fed, but his seasonal average of around 5.6 yards per carry could look more like 4 yards per carry against New England. And if he gets his usual 18 to 22 totes, that'll land on the under.
All right, Pearce, bring us home.
Taysom Hill, over 43.5 rushing yards. Josh Allen had 100 on Tampa Bay last week. Jameis Winston, Fields, Hurts, all around 40 rushing yards against this team. You can't run on them, so you have to pass. Well, those three that I mentioned, they can't pass, so they had to resort to running. And I think you're going to see the same thing from Taysom Hill. They can't run, they can't pass, and he'll just have to carry the load on the ground, which he's done the last 2 games.